This is Charles Haley. You listen to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Gibson Hurst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, Friedels right, gets to the 20. He's over 30. Needs to play it. He comes back up the right side. Takes it to the tackle. He's down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's over the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown 49ers. 96 yards run to Garrison Hurst.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked now. Gets away. He runs. Gets away again. Goes to the 40. Gets away again. To the 35. Back to the 30. To the 20.
He walks 57-yard line. 49ers into the backfield.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking down and goes. Let's go! The second down, the man takes the snap, goes to plan to the left side. It's Ridley. The 49ers pick it. At the bottom of Sullivan. It's the Sullivan running all the way for the touchdown. No Raider rejection.
Click, click, boom! What's going on, Faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is back. Guys, this is the new year, new us. We're going to get right into this, man. This is going to be like a little behind enemy lines type of segment, right? We have an enemy in the mix, guys. You see him right there. He's right above me. His name is also Mike. That's how much of an enemy he is. He's even got the same name as me. This guy is crazy, right? But, guys, we're going to get to it. Let's go through some formalities really quick here. If it's your first time on the YouTube page, we want to thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Also, turn your notifications so you know exactly when we are going live. Thank you. Make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter and Snapchat as well. That is Nothing But 9ERS. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch. That is Nothing But Niners, spelled all the way out. And, guys, we have the website as well, www.nothingbutniners.com. And our guy over here, man, AZ Sports Fan. That's the name of your YouTube show, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. Yep.
So I would tell you guys to follow him, but I mean, come on. You only
Right.
need to watch his shows 2 times a year, and that's before he plays the Niners both times, right? I mean,
That's fair.
really, what else are they gonna? What are we gonna do over there, right?
You're absolutely 100% right, man. It's all pretty much based off of Arizona Cardinals perspective. So if you don't like us, you're not gonna like me at all.
It's all good, Mike. Let them know your Twitter handle and all that stuff because we do want to cross promote and everything. So we do want people to check you out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you have Niner fans in your shows, and we have Cardinal fans. And
Absolutely. Yep. So my name is Mike. AZ Sports Fan is what I go by on YouTube. You can find it that way in case we do have some, rogue Arizona Cardinal fans on your page that never found my page. There you go. I am on Twitter as the AZ Sports Fan, the number 1. And if you look the AZ Sports Fan on Instagram, you'll find me there. It's all the same little logo that you find on YouTube.
Awesome. Nick, Tony, how you guys doing over there, man?
What up, man? What up? Chilling. Just ready to talk some football, man. Watching that game the other night just got my amp level completely up even more, right? So big shout out to Mike for joining us tonight, man. Appreciate you. And, Tony, what's going on, man?
Nothing. Nick, Mike, what's going on? I want to talk about this game. There's really a lot of things to talk about this game from both teams' perspectives. So it's gonna be an interesting show.
So let's start with the biggest news of whether or not there's going to be a game, and not talking about COVID for the reason, but because of the air quality, guys. This is something that is really, really taking us by storm, and the team come out and made a couple of comments on it. I don't know if Arizona has addressed their fans about it yet or not, or their media. But guys, let's break this down here. What are the concerns, and how close are we to this not happening? And what are the options that we have going forward?
Well, I'm hearing anything over 200. I don't know the marker, what it's called, but if it goes over 200, they don't practice and they're not going to play. There's already reports saying that Tevin Coleman didn't participate today because of his underlying issues. that prevents him, in poor air quality. He'll have a tough time breathing. I don't know too much about if Arizona has any players with medical issues that it could affect, but it's going to come down to the wire, I think, with this one, where they could possibly postpone it. But I hope they don't. I hope they play this game 4:25 Eastern time on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if I could jump in, if that's okay. Yeah, as far as the information, it's pretty much what you guys have as well. It's all the rage that we're talking about here. We're thinking that we're going to get a second home game. I don't think that's the case. I think, Nick, what you told me was what might just swap out the home games, which would be kind of cool. I mean, honestly, it makes sense. So I'm 100% down with it. But honestly, all the radio stations are talking about it, and I might actually do a live about it later on after this as well. So it's a pretty big topic.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like I said earlier, Kyle Shanahan spoke at the podium today. He said that, it's not up to him. It's not up to the coaches. It's not up to the front office people. It's up to the NFL. And the NFL has up to 1 day prior to the game to make that decision if they decide to move it or postpone it. Somebody did say in that presser, it was asking basically would the game get moved to Arizona and they just swap home games at certain times. They said that that's a possibility as well. Which I would think the NFL would want to do because they don't know how many games they're going to get in this season, right? We could play 6, 7, 8 games and then go into a playoff mode, right? So the more games you postpone or drop and try to replay later with the whole COVID situation going on, I think it'd be best to move it to Arizona and then play the game that is supposed to be in Arizona later in the year in Santa Clara. So, I think that's their best bet. But Kyle Shanahan said he hasn't spoke to anybody and nobody has said anything to him about the games being rotated or switched or postponed yet. So, like I said, their AQI today was around 140-ish, I think they said it was, where media report it was over 150. So they have a little bit more high-tech things than a mobile app to tell you what the air quality index is. So, Tony, that's what it's called, AQI, air quality index, just so for people's further entertainment. But, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what it does. But I think that if they do make any changes, I think that that's what they would do is swap the home games due to not knowing how many games are going to be played in the NFL this year.
Right. And then the other option is something like a postponing, just like what happened in 2001 for September 11th. I don't know if you guys remember that the week 2 games were canceled and moved to the end of the season. I don't know if you guys remember that. The ones for in the wake of 2011, they postponed the week 2 games, 2011 season, originally for September 16th and 17th until the end of the regular season. All playoff games following the 2001 regular season, including the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl, were similarly rescheduled for 1 week later. So, they can move these things around. They can try to shuffle it and still try to keep it fair where, the Niners aren't playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and then, have to turn around and play on Sunday again. So they do have some options there. All right. So yeah, that's all I got for it. I don't know if anyone else has anything on it.
Nah, we'll be waiting to hear, all of us are up in the same boat, right? So all of us as ambassadors and fans, we're all kind of in the same boat. We don't know what's going to happen and kind of just got to play it by ear. And if that's the case, we'll bring that to you guys here. And I'm sure Mike will bring that to you guys for Arizona as well. So keep your eyes open and ears peeled.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to this matchup. Can you guys hear me all right? Am I better now? Sound better? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get to this matchup, man. This is going to be a very, very big game. There's a lot on the line, and I know it's only week 1, and everybody feels like, it's just week 1, whatever. But I'll start by saying this. I think the Cardinals really want to beat the Niners. I think they really, really want to beat them. And I think the Niners feel like, hey, we want to show that we're not coming down here on a Super Bowl slump. So let's go ahead and get to it. So I'm going to shut up. Let's start with our guest here. Let's talk about how the Cardinals have improved since we last played them.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, honestly, I think you got that completely right. The Arizona Cardinals and all their fan base wants to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I think it just might be kind of like a pride issue. I always kind of felt like the Arizona Cardinals were little brother in the division, along maybe with the Rams, really depending on like the years that you're going based off of. But, they're always dominance being San Francisco 49ers and the Seahawks. So it really just depends on who I hate the most is winning the division. So because you guys are in the Super Bowl, I'm not really too happy with you guys, but as far as the team goes, not you guys. But yeah, we've had a lot of great things happen for this offseason. Probably one of the best off seasons that Steve Keim has had as an Arizona Cardinal GM. Getting the acquisition of getting DeAndre Hopkins, which was big and surprising to a lot of us as fans. We just thought that we were going to get rid of David Johnson, get rid of his salary, and that's it. But I always tell the story because I always kind of find it fascinating, like for myself and my own like subs. Like I was upstairs in the studio, like making my video that, hey, we finally got rid of David Johnson. We got this and this and that. Went back downstairs, and to my knowledge, DeAndre Hopkins is coming with a trade, and I lost it. Like my wife knows nothing about football, but by the end of that day, or by 10 minutes, she knows who DeAndre Hopkins was because I just could not. Oh my God, it was amazing. So not just DeAndre Hopkins being added to the list, but also some pieces on the defensive side. Now, I think it's obvious to a lot of fan bases that the Arizona Cardinals defense was completely and utter garbage last year. We made tight ends that weren't the George Kittles, the Kelseys out there look like them while playing with them. So I can honestly say that we did some good things on the offseason that hopefully maintain Kittle, but I honestly don't think that that's going to happen, honestly. So we got Devondre Campbell, which is going to be a middle linebacker. We ended up also getting Isaiah Simmons, which in my opinion is kind of like the steal of the draft, getting him at 8. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of Isaiah Simmons in the first game. Maybe we might see him here and there, but I think Devondre Campbell coming from Atlanta Falcons is going to be the number one opposite side of Jordan Hicks, which is the number one middle linebacker.
And you guys also added Jordan Phillips, right? From Buffalo.
Yep, Jordan Phillips. Yep, definitely.
And also Devon Kennard, right?
Yep, Devon Kennard, opposite side of Chandler Jones. Excited about that. We'll see how it happens. I remember when we had Marcus Golden, I was really happy with those tandems, but unfortunately Marcus Golden ended up, going in free agency. But I'm excited to see what Devon Kennard does, to be honest with you. He had a pretty decent season last year with the Lions. So super excited about it. You know how I feel about Chandler Jones. Love the guy, and I can see another amazing season from him this coming year. But if I can just say one last thing before our next question, the only thing that I want to go ahead and say is I'm worried about our cornerback position. We ended up getting Drake Kirkpatrick, which kind of got him off the street. I know he did some really good years within getting with the Bengals, but I don't know really how I feel about him. I got to see him the first game to really kind of evaluate, see how I feel with the cornerback opposite side of Patrick Peterson. That's one thing that scares me a lot.
That's awesome, man. Now, Tony, he gave you a lot there. What are your thoughts on all that? He talked about the acquisitions that they've made. I mean, I know you're going through your mental Rolodex of all of this.
No,
stuff,
yeah.
So
I mean, listen, they did. You guys definitely added nice pieces. I'm not going to lie. The only thing I've questioned is with no preseason, with no true like full off season for these guys. Like, for example, Simmons has not faced a player of the caliber of Kittle in college. Let's be real. I'm not saying it's not a knock against him, but
right.
He hasn't faced that, and he hasn't been like a defense where it's more complex now because offenses facing Kyle's offense is probably the most complex offense with all the shifts, pre-snap shifts, and all that. So it's going to be a real test on him. I'd like Kennard. I'll tell you right now, I think Kennard's phenomenal. I think that he's going to be a steal for you guys. And, of course, Chandler Jones is Chandler Jones. I can't wait to see him and Trent go up against him. But, honestly, I think if they were smart, they would flip it to McGlinchey and put Chandler Jones on McGlinchey's side. And then, I'm not trying to knock the Niners, but that will kind of force the Niners to keep Kittle in or Juszczyk in to chip him and try to slow him down. You guys did make a lot of moves, and when it comes to your offense versus our defense, I think you're hearing rumors of potentially Sherman shadowing Hopkins, which he has never done in his career. He never did it in Seattle. He did it maybe once or twice in the playoffs versus Green Bay with Devontae Adams. But if they choose not to shadow him, I think Arizona's going to put Kirk on him all day, and it could be a big issue. But then on the flip side, I kind of think our defensive line versus your offensive line, if they can corral and keep him in the pocket, I think it could be a tough day for Kyler Murray. But listen, I think it's going to be a great game. I do not think it's going to be a blowout on either way. I just think, in my eyes, this is week 1 of the preseason. This is your tune. This is the start of the tune-up for the 2020 season. I think potentially tackling is not going to be good. I mean, we saw it last night. There was tons of missed tackles. It's going to be interesting, especially on San Francisco's side of the ball, when they're on offense with their pre-snap shifting. Is there going to be a full start? Is there going to be an illegal motion? Is there going to be it could be anything because these guys haven't played a game. And if you listen to, I know you didn't, but if the Niners fans listen to Kyle Shanahan, he flat out said, we are tired of going against each other. We want to face another opponent, another team, other players. So it's going to be interesting. I'll leave it at that.
The injury report did come out for today, and I'm not sure if you saw this, Mike, but Josh Jones is listed out, one of your offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Obviously on the 49ers side, Deebo Samuel has been listed as out, and Jason Verrett, who's, a backup corner for us. So basically, Deebo Samuel. What do you think the Arizona Cardinals? So Mike asked you a question earlier, right, with your additions and things like that, and games were so close last year. What do you think stopped the Arizona Cardinals from beating the 49ers last year? And did they approach the things that they needed to do in the offseason that can get you guys over that top to beat the bigger brother?
Right. So I do know that both games were really close. I think the second game was a little bit like more of a kind of like blowout than the first game. I think the first game was a lot closer, not a blowout, but like those points that we ended up getting was kind of like a give me kind of points. But honestly, one thing that I feel like the Arizona Cardinals should have done is run the ball more. Now, when we got Kenyon Drake the first time we played you guys, Kenyon Drake had a monster game. Now, I'm not sure if you guys were fully aware that this was happening or like didn't really maybe not think too much about Kenyon Drake, but he had a monster game over I believe it was like 110 yards, rushing yards, and a touchdown. Now, I feel like it was really important on that second game to replicate that, but I think you guys made your adjustments because Kenyon Drake only had like 67 yards. So I think we kind of gave up too much on that running game, but Kenyon Drake is an amazing piece for this Cliff Kingsbury's offense. I think David Johnson just didn't work. It's nothing to do with David Johnson. And I've been saying this on my channel here. I like David Johnson still. It's really obvious that Cliff Kingsbury did not want to use him. I don't know why, personal beef, who knows? But it's obvious that he did everything possible to not put David Johnson to succeed. So when Kenyon Drake came into the picture, he was just like a perfect fit for the Cliff Kingsbury's offense, whether it was like draw plays or just kind of like up the middle. He's just like a hard runner, like just in general. So I feel like our offensive line did improve. Yes, Josh Jones is going to be out, but I never thought he was going to be a starter at the right tackle. It's going to be Kelvin Beachum, in my opinion, which we ended up getting from, I think, the Jets, that they let him go, and we ended up picking him up. So Josh Jones is out. And I think news that you told me before we started the stream was Keyshawn Johnson, which that is pretty big. And I'll elaborate a little bit more later on, but the Josh Jones really doesn't do much for me because I didn't think he was going to start to begin with, just more depth more than anything. But I do like picking him up in the third round this last year.
Well, don't waste time. Go ahead and get to it now, man. Let's talk about it. I want to hear information from you, and then I want to hear like Tony talk about it because we're going to do another breakdown of this game on our own. But while we got you here, man, give us the information. I want to know what's going on over there and what I got to watch for.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the way that the training camp news and all that different stuff that's coming through. I mean, obviously, we all kind of have to take what the coaching staff says with the grain of salt. And let's be honest here, it's all kind of like just to hype up the first game. And honestly, like I'm super stoked about it. But the way that the Arizona Cardinals offense is constructive is they're gonna try to get the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands fast now because you guys have a nasty, nasty defensive line. Kyler Murray said up front that the four most like dangerous defensive line or like defensive people like in NFL that he has played. He just named all four of the San Francisco 49ers D linemen because like they're just nasty. They're going to get pressure on Kyler Murray and they have to make sure that ball is out of his hand fast and establish a running game with Kenyon Drake. It's just really important for it to happen. I could see it happen, especially if we're doubling DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk is going to be a rising star in my opinion. He kind of started off a little slow. First year he got hurt. I think he got hurt the second year as well. But we have Larry Fitzgerald, old reliable, which I know a lot of people kind of laugh, but Larry Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald. He still does amazing things. He has amazing catches, and I really do think he's going to be more of a slot type wide receiver. So any of those, 3rd and 5s, something like that, something strong, some strong yardage to get. Larry Fitzgerald is going to be the guy. They're going to try Christian Kirk on the outside. It doesn't work out. I could see Christian Kirk going back in the slot.
I'm going to ask to Tony, and then Mike, I want you to get it back to you also. I've been thinking about how they could use DeAndre Hopkins. As far as, is he just going to play on one side? They're going to try to move him around and mismatch him against people, or pick whoever's playing opposite Richard Sherman or whatever. So I want to get Tony's thoughts on that. And then Mike, I don't know if you heard anything about camp and where he's been lining up and where he's been practicing and stuff like that. Try to give us some tidbits on that. But Tony, how would you try to take care of Hopkins defensively?
Well, honestly, I would put him on Sherman, and with the Niners, I would put Sherman on him. Sorry, with the Niners switching defensive back coaches, it seems like they're going to go potentially. I mean, with Tony Oden, potentially with a more press man coverage. And I think if he can muscle up with, damn, I just forgot this guy's name, Hopkins, and I think that would be the best scenario. I just don't want to see a speed guy on Richard Sherman, because I think that's where the issue could be. Now, if you flip it and then they line up on the opposite side, and if Sherman doesn't shadow him, where it could be Emmanuel Mosley. I understand Emmanuel Mosley is, shorter than Sherman. I think Mosley's 5'11" and Sherman's like 6'2". So I think Mosley has it in him to play physical. He has like that dog in him, but I just think the height difference and how he high points the balls, Hopkins, it makes an advantage over him. But I had a question for you, Mike, before we go any further with this. Do you think they're going to come out in a more traditional offense, or they're going to come out with their air raid because there's such short time with Hopkins? Is Hopkins on the same page and up to par with this offense, or is he still learning the ropes of it?
They say that he's good, but I think it's going to be something that it's going to take a while. I mean, any offense that's new to somebody, although you might be like an elite type wide receiver, you have to have a connection with your quarterback. Now, one thing that I was excited about was that Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins and a lot of different wide receivers kind of went to Texas and they did their own little workout. So it was kind of exciting for like a Cardinal fan to be like, oh, wow, the chemistry is happening right now. It's starting to happen. But it might take a while, honestly. Maybe a couple of games before Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins gets like a complete, down with chemistry and stuff like that. Yeah. But everything in training camp, everything's looking good. Like they're saying all the right things to hype up all the fans, but I kind of know like the way they sell things, the Cardinals, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, honestly, because this top secret offense that we were supposed to see last year, it didn't show up for the first 8 games, and it was bad how much like pressure Kyler Murray had.
Yeah. Now, do you feel that they're going to keep going like with their high pace, like quick snap the ball under before the 20-second mark on the clock, like tempo? Do you think they're going to do that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I think they're going to also try to establish the run with Drake because they have a running back like Kenyon Drake. So it's don't be surprised to kind of see them like huddle up real fast and basically go for that fast type of pace and then slow it down, because that's just kind of like the offense that Cliff Kingsbury loves to run. To be 100% honest with you, it's just he's kind of versatile in what he can do. So I'm just excited because honestly, second year into the Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and the last 8 games, it seemed like everybody was getting a grasp of it. So that's really the hype and the excitement. Obviously, the DeAndre Hopkins acquisition too, but that's really the hype of it all.
Good.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, no, I had 2 things. I just was going to ask you, do you think that your offense takes off where it left last year with the additions that you got, Christian Kirk coming back from an injury as well? Do you think that you guys, like you said, the first 8 games last year was horrendous, right? So you didn't really start, that offense didn't really start get going until you made moves like Kenyon Drake at the end of the year, and he started to fill into that offense and start catching on. And then you move to, you get Larry Fitzgerald finally worked up and into the offense more and more. Kyler Murray stops running the football as much as he was and starts to become that quarterback and trying to throw the ball a little bit more. whether he was dealing with a nagging injury or whatever it was. Towards the end of the season, he wasn't running as much as he was earlier in the beginning season. Could have been offensive line play as well. But do you think that, with the additions, because it's funny, because I was listening to I was listening to Cliff Kingsbury talk about DeAndre Hopkins, and he was saying that I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be as much of a factor in this Arizona offense week 1 as people think he's going to be, because of the fact that Cliff Kingsbury kept trying to play it off to where, where he was speaking on, he was like, look, there was no OTAs, there was no mini camp, there was no training camps. We're trying to, and then he had a hamstring, that they were, taking care of to where they didn't force him in. How much does he know of this playbook come week 1? And how much of a factor will he be in this week 1 game? Because they kind of took him along slowly, but not because of the injury, but because of also not learning the playbook as fast as people would, because no OTAs, no training camps, no mini camps, nothing like that. So so the question part is, do you really believe that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be as big of a factor week 1? And do you think that your offense takes off where it left off last year?
So I do feel like we're going to take off where we were last year. As far as DeAndre Hopkins goes, this coaching staff, this GM that we have, we know that, I don't want to say they're liars, but they're so big at smokescreens. So it's really, really hard to say, like, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm going to trust everything Cliff Kingsbury says. I'm going to trust everything Skyme says. Honestly, whenever they speak, I'll listen to them and I'm like, okay, this is kind of the same jargon that we hear every single year. We're looking good, all this and that. Or if it's in the opposite side of the coin, DeAndre Hopkins is not going to do so hot the first week because he hasn't done all this. Like, it makes sense if DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be the focal point of the of this first week. Absolutely, 100% makes sense, because all the stuff he listed, yeah, he's absolutely right. He was out for a part of that training camp. Some might have said because he's waiting for that payday. Some people said he actually was hurt. So who to really believe? I don't really know. I can't really answer that question. It's kind of a tough question because, we we took out David Johnson out of a game and started Chase Edmonds. Now, it's just that kind of, I guess, coaching staff. I don't really believe what they say, to be 100% honest with you. I just want to see it win on Sundays. I don't know. I don't trust him. I like him, but everything he says it is what it is to me. You know what I mean? It's too politically correct for me. And honestly, I just want wins. And then I could dissect from there. But I would love DeAndre Hopkins to be focal point. But if he's not, we got Kenyon Drake, we got Christian Kirk, and then Larry Fitzgerald. So we'll be all right.
As Nick was saying that, all I kept thinking about was you heard the quote from when Kingsbury was in college, that if I ever got to the NFL, I would draft, Kyler Murray first overall. And then here come the reports. Oh, no, we don't know what we're doing yet. We still don't know what we're doing. You know exactly what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I know we all pretty much, have a conversation with a fantasy football counselor, but as he said snakes. And it's kind of it's unfortunate to say, but the way that they're running things, and if it works, it works. I don't care. As long as we get wins, you guys could do whatever the heck you want to do. But my thing is that they're based off of trying to make smoke screens. That's the way the Arizona Cardinals, especially once they brought Cliff Kingsbury in. He can say one thing and then do the next some other time. It's just weird.
I want to talk about the defense really quick, and I know we're pressed for time. I know you got to run soon. But the defense did a really good job of stopping the Niners' run game last year. That was probably one of the more frustrating games to watch, with trying to run the ball that didn't include bad weather. Watching the Mud Bowl and stuff like that. We played against the Washington football team and the one against the Ravens. That was a little different, right? You understand it because of the weather. Your team, not only were you guys running on us, it felt like, damn, why can't we do that? Maybe it wasn't as bad as it felt in the moment because you guys are so successful running the ball and we were struggling with it. But you guys have added some pieces that are going to make the run game your run defense even better, in my opinion. So I really want to know if you think, Mike, it's sustainable, and then Tony, what your thoughts on how we can counter what they've done. So we'll give it to Mike first and then let Tony come back with a little counter.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I honestly do think it's sustainable. Jordan Phillips, I think it's a great acquisition. I mean, the first thing I did was, speak to our Bills guy, and I was like, hey, you know, what do you feel about him? What's going on? And I also had a lot of Bills fans coming on my comments when I posted the video saying like, yeah, he's good. He's good. He's just waiting for that contract. Some of them say that it was just like a hype up here, but they might have been just mad because they couldn't resign him. Who knows? But really excited about him. I mean, he can get some interior pressure. He can stop the run. Super excited about it. We have a lot of young talent within that defensive line, whether it's Licky Fotu, 4th round out of this, coming out of Utah. And we also have Rashad Lawrence out of LSU. Now, we can do some great things. Really excited to see, especially more than anything is Licky Fotu. Hopefully he gets an opportunity. Maybe not this year. Maybe he'll like come in whenever somebody needs a breather. But I can see them definitely stopping some runs for sure.
I agree. I agree with you saying. But taking it back to that game last year, the Niners were without Juszczyk. They were without Kittle because he was hurt. He got hurt in that game. So those are two big pieces in our run game. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just telling you what it is.
Right.
So with that being said, if you go into this game, we're missing our starting center. Okay, we have a big question mark at our center position, whether it's going to be Garland or whether it's going to be Brunskill playing center and someone else plays right guard, or whether Brunskill's going to play right guard and they're going to implement the Grisseau kid off the practice squad to play center. There's all different scenarios being floated around right now because we're not 100% sure on the health of Garland.
Mm-hmm.
So with the uncertainty, it's kind of like, okay, is this going to be the same thing? We're not going to be able to run the ball. I personally think the Niners are going to come out simple and plain simple offensive attack because this is truly their first preseason game going into the 2020 season. I think the 49ers are going to attack you guys and try to run the ball, try to hit the edges, try to come up the middle on the inside zones, go to a man scheme, go to a power scheme, to try to like get that offense going because as you know, we're based off of play action. So the run sets up the play action. Then I think if he does decide to go to a passing game, it's going to be more of like a quick hitting type of scheme to get the ball out of Jimmy's hand quick to avoid the pass rush, like the Chandler Jones. But I will say this: we do have Trent Williams now. I'm not 100% sure if Staley played that game. I don't know if he was hurt. I think School was playing left tackle. So right then and there, that's an upgrade over School, in my opinion. It's not a knock against him. Trent Williams is Trent Williams. You can't discredit him, whether he's out 2 years, 3 years. He looked phenomenal in camp. He went up against Bosa every day, and it was just like the battle of the Warriors. So with that being said, I think this offense is going to come out and try to hit the run game and get that going. And then if they can establish the run game, I think that's when you're going to see everything just fall into place. And, of course, with Juszczyk and Kittle being healthy, it'll just play out the way that it will.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, honestly, if you were going to attack the Arizona Cardinals, I feel like that would be the best, route to do, especially because you guys are, Deebo Samuels is out. And I was actually going to ask you guys a question about Brandon Ayuk, if he's even going to be a starter, if he's going to play. I know he was hurt as well. So I would completely 100% do with what you're saying. Make sure that run game works because you guys have some really good offensive linemen. I'm not sure about the center. I know you guys are having some issues with the center, but with Williams in there, that would probably be the best way to beat the Arizona Cardinals for sure. Get them tired and play action.
And I think we know Kyle. Kyle likes to find the weakest link in attack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think if Simmons is going to be on the field, I think Kyle's going to go after him and put him in decisions put him in scenarios where he needs to make a split decision, like a quick, either you jump route or you drop in your zone or you cover him in, whatever it could be. I think Kyle's going to test him. And I think Arizona on film, obviously taped last year from previous two matchups under Kingsbury, Jordan Reed wasn't here last year. You understand what I'm saying? So now I think Kyle's going to play that game and force Arizona to stay in more of a base defense instead of going to their nickel or dime or their pass rush front, or whatever it may be. And I honestly think Kyle's going to try to target Simmons and see how he handles it, whether it's with Kittle, whether it's McKinnon out of the backfield, whether it's with Reed, whether it's with Trent Taylor if he comes out in the slot because they're in a base defense. I just think he found I'm not saying he's bad, but I think he knows that he's a rookie.
Right.
And this is all new to him. And I think he's going to test him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I want to kind of mention one other thing here is that Vance Joseph, our defensive coordinator, when he was talking about the progression of Isaiah Simmons, he was basically saying everything that Cliff Kingsbury was saying about DeAndre Hopkins. Short minicamp, he didn't have all the reps, no OTAs, everything that he said to that, it was almost scripted to the T. So we'll find out if these guys are actually legit saying these things. I don't think so, but I don't think Isaiah Simmons will have a good amount of time in this first game. Personally, I think it's going to be Devondre Campbell personally, but we'll see, man. I mean, that's one of the most exciting things about this coming Sunday. Hopefully it happens. Fingers crossed, but I'm stoked, guys. Like, I am ecstatic.
Absolutely.
All right. And then we're going to do a quick, everyone go around the table really quick and just give us a matchup that you're interested in seeing. All right. So I know that there's two guys that are going to face off against each other that's got big paychecks this offseason. So I don't know if anybody wants to pick those two, but let's just do a matchup. You don't have to say why or anything like that, but because we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do another show. I'm sure you're doing another show on this game also before the kickoff and all that. So we're just trying to do the cordial thing. I don't want to attack Mike, but we're gonna try to have some fun here. But matchups that we're looking forward to before Mike leaves.
You want to go first? Cool.
Yeah, good.
Joey Bosa, Kyler Murray. I want to see the first round pick, overall second round pick. At that moment, I was really upset that we didn't get Bosa. I mean, obviously now it's the right choice. I'm happy with Kyler Murray, but at that moment, what we did to Josh Rosen was dirty, unclassy, and all that stuff. But I'm really excited to see that type of that matchup.
Go ahead, Tony.
There's a ton of them. There's a ton of matchups. I mean, Mike just hit it with the two biggest paychecks of the offseason. But Budda Baker versus George Kittle. And then you could say, well, what about Sherman versus Hopkins? And then how about this one? The one I really want to see? I want to see Jet McKinnon versus their linebackers. Because I don't think I think Jet McKinnon is if his knee is back, like they're saying, he's going to be very tough out of the backfield. Very. And this is why Kyle slammed the table to bring him in 2 years ago. And they paid him a boat ton of money. And I think you're going to finally see it.
Very good matchups, guys. Now, Mike, there's a question here for you. And then we'll get Nick's matchup here. But will Dan Arnold have a significant role this year? I drafted him in fantasy because someone told me he was a sleeper.
I don't think he will. I think it'll be more Max Williams, which is going to be the number one tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. He's going to catch some balls. I mean, let me tell you, he's a vertical threat. He's a big body in the red zone. There's just too many mouths to feed. And to add Dan Arnold to the mixture, taking away reps from DeAndre Hopkins, I just don't see it. I can see probably like 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe 300, 350 yards as far as stats go, but he's not going to have a big focal point in this offense. There's just too many mouths to feed. So I would stay away. I like Dan Arnold, don't get me wrong, but I would stay in fantasy terms.
Very interesting. See, I didn't have any input for that. I don't know. All right, Nick, let's get our matchups in here, man. Let Mike go after this.
All right, I don't really have a physical matchup per se, right? But I want to kind of see who is on who when Jordan Reed and George Kittle are on the field, as well as the backfield, depending on the sets that we're in, whether it's 21, 22, the way that the Arizona Cardinals cover. And what I mean specifically is in the red zone. If Jordan Reed is in the red zone package and George Kittle is on the field as well, who's covering who? That's what I'm kind of interested in seeing. And who's going to be the guy that's covering the back out of backfield or things like that. It's not a specific matchup that I'm looking for. It's not, Budda against George Kittle. I've seen that. I want to see how they manipulate and cover what Kyle Shanahan brings out in certain coverages. And I'm also interested to see if the 49ers play more man this year as well, especially against the Arizona Cardinals.
Right. A team that likes to run out 3 or 4 wide receivers. I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll get into it more later on, but I think the usage of Chandler Jones is going to be the talk of the game. I don't think he just lines up on a tackle. I think they're going to move him all over this offensive line. I think the Cardinals are well aware of our injury issues at center and guard, and I think that he's going to be running stunts running back. He's going to be all over. And that's the matchup that most worries me, because you think back to the Super Bowl. Where did Jimmy Garoppolo have the most trouble? It was right in the middle. Another, Jones right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a problem, those big-ass guys in the middle. And I think that the Cardinals would be remiss if they don't take advantage of that. They have to go, or is there someone else? Is there another defensive tackle that you think could be effective coming up the middle, Mike? I mean, but that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Honestly, oh, my bad. Jordan Phillips and Corey Peters is really the only two people I can think of that's going to get a lot of snaps for that defensive line, especially on the interior. I can see Jones flip-flopping as far as on the opposite side, but I don't think he's ever going to get in the middle. If he does, that'd be something that I haven't seen in quite some time. So, but I would think honestly Corey Peters, which he's pretty decent. I mean, he's not a statistic type of guy, but he makes some great plays. But Jordan Phillips, I'm just really excited to see what he does. I mean.
All right, so before you get out of here, Mike, I just want to hear what you think the Arizona Cardinals have to be able to do to beat the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow.
Sorry, I was just reading that comment on there. That's a good question, Nick. So one thing that we have to do is make sure that we establish one game. I think that the 49ers are probably going to think Hopkins. Hopefully go ahead and clear up the box a little bit, and we're going to have to make sure that Kenyon Drake gets a load of workhorse type of thing. Excited about that. Chase Edmonds is also a really good receiving back, so maybe we can mix it up with that. But I mentioned this many times on a lot of my streams, but Eno Benjamin out of ASU, a hometown guy, hopefully he can get some reps too, but I don't want to do too much. I hate the running back by committee, especially when you're talking about fantasy section, but making sure Kenyon Drake is able to run that ball, I feel like that would be the key to the Arizona Cardinals' success. 100%.
Tony, you got any more?
No, I'm pretty much good. I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to come down to basics, tackling, blocking. It's tough, man. You don't know how they're going to come out. You don't. I'm afraid tackling is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It sucks what happened, how it has control over everything, but there's a lot of scary things, and there's things that I'm scared of, and there's things that I'm positive about versus the Cardinals. The interior to offensive line, ours versus your defensive line, I'm worried about. I'll tell you straight up. I think Kyle versus Vance Joseph, I think Kyle has that matchup. I do. I think Kyle's ahead of Vance Joseph ahead of him, as far as one step ahead of him. But on the other hand, just with Hopkins being on the field, it's going to be tough for that defense. It's going to be a true test to Saleh. But it all comes down to this. I think this game, because of the situation with COVID, I think it's going to be you put your best players on the field and you do what you do best, and that's it. You go to your strength, and that's how you play this game, and then you progress week by week, and then you fully open up your offense. That's the way I think it's going to be. I could be wrong. I mean, he could come out and start spreading the ball around. He can go tempo versus Arizona and then test them because, Jordan Phillips is a big dude. All right? Peters is a big dude. You can run her up and down the field in shorts all you want, but you're banging every play, you get winded. So, and it's vice versa. Kinlaw's a big dude. They could, you know what I'm saying? So, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a really good game, and I just can't wait to see it, and hopefully they play it.
All right.
100%
so,
agree.
Mike, you just talked about you think that the Arizona Cardinals need to establish a run game to win this game, right? So
yep.
I do this thing called over-under, right, on our regular show. Do you think that the Arizona Cardinals rush for over 90 yards or under? And then how established does the run game need to be to beat this? Does it need to be 2 or 3 big runs? Does it need to be 80 yards? Does it need to be – they need to rush for 100 yards. So over or under 90 yards, and then what would be that level of rushing-wise that you think that the Arizona Cardinals would need to establish to beat us?
As a team, right? You're giving me as
Correct.
A team. I say over. I say we can get over 100 because Kyler also has wheels too. I mean, he doesn't want to run the ball, but I think especially towards the end of the season, we also kind of opened up another box where, hey, Lamar Jackson does this, Lamar Jackson does that. Let's try this. There was a really obvious play that came from from the Ravens that we ended up doing when we're kind of having like our last few games, and it seemed to work. And I think that Cliff Kingsbury is kind of getting into the groove of things of, hey, maybe we can go ahead and do specific runs for Kyler Murray to do things. So I would say over, because Kyler Murray does have the ability to run as well. And yes, I do think the run game has to be like big and established, because you're also maintaining like the time of possession as well. I feel like that's big. I don't know. I feel like what you guys have with your running backs, you guys can go ahead and pretty much bleed that clock and just keep that ball as much as you possibly can. And worst thing we want to do is not have our offense on the field, because we need to make sure we score some points on you guys.
All right. I don't know if we have that. I don't know if the Niners can actually do that. Just bleed the clock out, just running the ball. And when I say that, I mean like up the middle, stay away from the sidelines, make sure you're not getting pushed out. But it's going to be an interesting game. Mike, we want to thank you so much for jumping on. We're going to let you go. And you stayed well beyond your time, so we thank you and we apologize for that. If we owe you something, let us know. But you guys make sure you give Mike a follow. AZ Sports Fan, the AZ Sports Fan one on Twitter and Instagram, you said, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. AZ Sports Fan just on Instagram.
I just want a prediction real quick. Score prediction.
Bro, you know I got to go with the Cardinals. So I got to go with Cardinals here. And I'm going to go with 20. I want a weird number. I don't know why. Let's go with 27-21 Cardinals.
Close game. All right, 27-21. There you have it.
Look at Mike's face over here. He's like, but I see you, man. I see you. I have so much faith, man. And that's the thing. That might be my fault of it all. And it might be wishful thinking, but I'm always going to back the Cardinals. I mean, it is what it is.
I tell you what, if you believe in improvement, it's not impossible. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Niners went from a 4-12 team to what they went to, right? So
true.
Look, I have Arizona this year actually making a playoff. So I actually have them finishing second in the division, but we won't go there. But because I just think they're going to progress as the year gets along. Before you go, I know that we just said this, but is there anything that scares you on this Niners team to where if you can't control that, you could lose?
Just the entirety of that defensive line is what really freaks me out. I don't really know the progression of Kinlaw, because I don't really follow the 49ers like training camp and stuff like that. And I was actually had a question for you guys about like Kinlaw and what he was progressing in training camp and stuff like that. But just that whole D line, I just don't want Kyler Murray to panic. And he had some moments of panic, especially in those first 8 games. So I hope they helped with like routines and training camp with throwing the ball away. A lot of times our sacks that Kyler Murray took was because of Kyler Murray's fault. So hope he could throw the ball away. Don't just sit at your butt down, get out of the pocket. You could run and throw that ball away. So just that defensive line just in general freaks me out.
Yeah, okay. And then Brandon Ayuk is limited. He's been limited to practice this week, but he is listed as questionable. I know you asked that earlier.
Yeah.
Nobody answered that for you. And then Kinlaw looks to be like right now there's some good talks and some bad talks about him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of DJ Jones this week compared to Kinlaw, but we shall see. Sunday it is. We'll get a lot of our answers, man. So I appreciate you taking the time out and talking with us, Mike. It's always a pleasure, man. Hopefully we can get you back on for the next Arizona-San Francisco matchup again. And I'd say good luck, but I wouldn't mean it. But I appreciate you, man, and this was a lot of fun.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. You guys can also find him over on FTFN, the Fan to Fan network over there, under the Arizona Cardinals page. There are Cardinal fans in here watching this right now. So I'm assuming that they're already over there and they're already following him. So you guys make sure you give him a follow over there as well. Guys, listen, man. It's hard to be nice. It's hard to let someone sit here and say that your team is only putting up 21 points against the defense that was playing the way that they played last year, right? I mean, look, the one game, what was the final score, like 26-36 or something like that, right? That we won last year. But the difference was that 7 points at the end of the game. Remember the kickoff that they bobbled and tried to pitch back, and then we picked up. So it wasn't as close as it actually looked. Anything is possible. Anything is possible, man. But you know what the most important thing is going to be in this game? It's protecting the ball. You got to protect the ball. So
and penalties, stupid penalties.
And penalties, yeah. penalties, protecting the ball, and tackling, like Tony said at the very top of the show. Those are going to be the things that are the most important. And, it's just certain things that we can't gamble with. We can't gamble with it in this game. Like, I don't want to see him trying to do tosses to the rookie Brandon Ayuk. If you're going to do it to somebody, like, have it with somebody that's been on the team. Something that we can do. I mean, if you want to gamble, honestly, you should just, like, go over to mybookie.com. Like, if you're going to gamble, that's where you should be, all right? Go to mybookie.com, guys. The season is back. It's here. If you want to put some money on this game, if you want to put some money on a bunch of games, did you guys know that MyBookie, you know how, like, you have, what's it called? Parlays, right? Like, this has to happen, this has to. You can do multiple sports with Did you know that?
Yeah.
Like, you can bet the Niners are going to win by 6 and the Mets are going to lose by 3 and all that kind of stuff, like cross. Yo, MyBookie is crazy. And you can even do, like, live in-game betting, right? So we have a promotion code for you guys for MyBookie this year, right? And that code is NB9ERS, all right? So make sure you guys use that promotion code when you go to mybookie.com. When you sign up, if it's your first time signing up, because of our code, you guys will also get dollar for dollar match in your deposit. So whatever your first deposit is, up to $1,000 on us, right? Boom. All you got to do is say, man, I'm a Nothing But Niners fan. I support those guys, right? Hashtag NB9ers, right? That's our thing, right? So you use that as the code, NB9ERS. Go to mybookie.com, put in the promo code NB9ERS, and they will match it up to $1,000. Listen, if you already have an account, use another email. I'm sure you guys have different emails, right? Hope MyBookie doesn't see this section here. Create another account. That way you get your match. If you signed up last year when we were promoting this thing, sign up again. Match that money. If you're going to put $200 down, at least if you match it, you got $200 to lose now. It's free money. Go in there and take advantage of it, guys. MyBookie.com, promo code NB9ERS. They have the luxury of gambling. We don't. We have to come out. We have to make a statement in this game, guys. I really, really believe that. I'm not just joking. That wasn't just a little fun promo, right? But we absolutely have to come out and play safe here. So, biggest concerns for Tony, and then we'll go to Nick. Because like I said, Nick and I are coming back to do this again. So we're going to be here. I mean, Tony, if there's other stuff that you got to get off your chest about this game, like, we want you to go ahead and be able to do it now.
I think the biggest thing is the offensive line, the interior of that offensive line. They have to – I hope Garland can play and keep Brunskill at right guard where he belongs, where he's better, and let that line start to gel. I know, the injuries, it prevented that, but I think that's the number one thing. The second thing is they need to get the ground game going. They got to run the ball. The defensive line, the third thing, they got to rush discipline. They can't just pin the ears back on the outside, lose containment, and then let him go around them. That's where they can get in trouble with Kyler Murray. And, like Bosa said in one of his pressers, last year they had no film on him. This year they have a whole season of film on him. So now they can see his tendencies. Does he like to roll right? Does he like to roll left? Does he like to step up, then go right, or step up and go left? So now there's tendencies. They know his strengths. They know his weaknesses. They know what he likes to do, and they know how to get to him and rattle him, or what he doesn't like. That's what I think is big. And I'm going to say this, and I know I'm probably going to get roasted for this. I know Buckner left. I know we drafted Kinlaw. I know Kinlaw's teetering right now, because he's going to learn in the NFL, you can't just bull rush somebody. He needs that secondary move, which he is working on. And the latter part of training camp, he did improve. But from my personal opinion, from what I read, obviously no preseason games, I think this defensive line on the interior right now is more deep than last year's defensive line. And I think that's going to help them because we all saw what happened in the Super Bowl. That fourth quarter, that D-line was gassed. They were done. Nick Bosa was struggling, but he was still giving it all. But I'm going to say this. I think this defensive line is more deep this year. And I think the wild card, because Blair is out, is Kerry Hyder. because Kerry Hyder could play inside, could play outside. And he had his best year with Koceric in this type of scheme. So it's going to be interesting. I think DJ Jones is going to come out to start. I think Solomon Thomas is going to start as the 3 technique, maybe the first snap, and then they're going to start that rotation. But in order to keep him contained and keep that pressure on him because of the up-tempo offense, all those defensive linemen got to step up in this game. They got to keep that pressure on and everything.
How do the defensive linemen stay healthy? And you're saying all of them, but if he starts doing that hurry up, you don't have time to substitute.
Well, if the true high up tempo game is they run the play, they sprint to the line and ball snapped. But then you get the one where they start walking up, no huddle. They walk up and he starts calling signals. You could sub guys out right there, but they got to be ready. They got to know what's coming, and they got to do hand signals or whatever they need to do. I just think it's banking on D Ford. If D Ford is truly healthy, I think he could have a problem this game, Murray. Because D Ford is very fast off the edge. And if he sees him coming, play in and play out, it could get in his head. And that's what you want to do with this kid. You want to make him uncomfortable. Because we saw, and Mike even said it, he got sloppy in some games when he was uncomfortable. So we have the ingredients to make him, the recipe to make him uncomfortable with the talent of our defensive line.
Nick, we can't hear you, and he's not on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute. My bad.
Oh, okay.
Did you? It's funny that you said that about D Ford, because did you hear the question that was presented to him the other day and says, how are you going to feel going out there and being that third down pass rush specialist, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not a third down guy. I'm a first, a second, a third, and a fourth down guy if need be. And he sounds like he's hungry, like he has a lot to prove. And obviously, he did take that restructure in his contract, things like that. But that's a big point, Tony, because if D Ford is healthy and can play 4 downs, Mike, you just touched on it and said, well, how are they not going to be gassed if they run this hurry-up offense? Well, you also got to think about their offensive line. How gassed are they going to be, right? So running this offensive line, obviously you're not running it as fast as you are at game speed compared to what you were doing in training camp, and there's been no preseason games or anything to get up to that level of the ability to be able to run that as quick as you possibly can without getting gassed. So there's going to be a lot that has to deal with it. And, I think that Tony's 100% right. I know he's worried about, that center guard position, but I think we'll be okay. I really do. I think we'll be okay, because the reason I think we'll be okay is because of how good our defensive line is. I think our defensive line has gotten those guys that have to step in ready. We all said this about Justin School, his first time having to come out, and he came out and had a hell of a game, right? So the ability for these guys to step in and look at the depth that we have here, I trust this coaching staff to get them ready. If Brunskill has to play center and Tom Compton has to play guard, or Grasu comes up, whoever it is, I have complete faith in this coaching staff in getting those guys ready to play, and I don't think they would play them there if they weren't truly ready. And Justin School is a perfect example of that.
I'm telling you now, I'm going to be a lot more aggressive when we do this show tomorrow, when we preview this game, because I have a lot of thoughts, and I know we're short for time here. We want to try to keep the show at an hour, so we're gonna come back to you guys tomorrow for the real game preview show, not the pregame show, the game preview show. All right, so this was a little more fun. This was a crossover episode. We're gonna try to keep those crossover episodes coming, but when we do the preview show tomorrow, that's going to be me really letting it out, because I got a lot of stuff to say about everything, a lot of points that Tony brought up now, and I'll get Tony's cross points on it, because he's not going to be able to be on the show, but I will talk with him and get his cross points, so it doesn't seem like I'm saying something against what he was saying while he's not here to defend himself. So I'll get in touch with him and we'll run through that. But guys, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up here?
No, I mean, for me, it's just, look, I appreciate Mike jumping on here with us talking about the Arizona Cardinals. And what we got. But, man, like I said earlier in the show, is I'm just ready for football, man. Look, I got a little bit of taste of it with watching the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans ball out. And, well, either way you want to say it, but play ball, I should just say. But that didn't fill the anxiety that I have, the excitement that I have, because Niners are going to be taking the field in 2 days. I'm super excited about that. And, final thoughts are, man, I can't wait to dig into this game tomorrow with you, Mike, because there's a lot that I got to talk about as well. And we're going to kind of keep that off. I guess Tony had to jump out of here, but I mean, that's pretty much it. For me, I can't wait to dig into this game tomorrow afternoon. Guys, make sure you guys have that subscribe button and the little bell notification so that you know when we're going live, because we're not quite sure on what time it is, but I'm super excited to get into this game.
Yeah, very busy day. I'm trying to figure out what time would be best. Like, is it better if we do an earlier show, like early afternoon, like 2 or 3? Like that way, the people across the pond can try to jump in, and we can get the West Coasters. It's early afternoon for them, and it's midday for us here on the East Coast. Like I don't really know what time is best for everybody. It's so hard to do it, but I want to do it early enough where if people do miss it, they can go back and watch it later. Right.
Yeah, I would say anywhere around noon to 3 our time, somewhere in there. Wherever we can, get in between there. I mean, earlier the better. I mean, it's a Saturday morning, so you guys can watch us as your Saturday morning cartoons, whatever you want to do. So if we go on at 12, it's 9 o'clock your time. If we go on at 3, it's noon your time. So either way, I'm good with the early show tomorrow. Earlier better, and I can get this stuff off my chest that I got to talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. Like I said, we're taking it to another level. We're turning up, man. So I hope you guys are here with us tomorrow to turn up as well. You guys know where to find us. You guys know the subscriptions and all that stuff. And just one more time, in case you guys forgot, I'm going to put it on the bottom of the screen, man. All right, you guys see it running across the bottom. MyBookie.com. Use a promo code NB9ers, and it doesn't have to be capitalized like that. You just type it in there. Match that money. Go out, create a fake email, guys. I got some takes for us, man. Maybe I'll do one of those things, and I'll do all my crazy prop bets and stuff like that with another account, and I'll match my own promo. Oh, what now, MyBookie? Make sure you guys check that out, though. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. All jokes aside, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I'm trying to keep it contained. I don't know if you can tell, but we will be back. All right, guys? That's going to do it for us here tonight. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always
remain faithful. We out of here. Peace.